Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. Hi, my name is Adrian Starks, and welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up Podcast. This podcast is for the courageous creators wanting to create a life of meaning, adventure, and fulfillment, all while helping to make the world a better place. I'm happy you're here, and if you're new to our show, make sure to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Also, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Champion Up. It is always that one idea that could be your breakthrough. It's time to step into your courage and believe the champion in you. Well, welcome everyone to the Champion Up Podcast, the Purposeful Life Show. My name is Adrian Starks, and I'm the host, and I'm so happy to have you here because we have a wonderful, courageous creator on the show today. Make sure, though, when you get done watching the show or listening to it, give us that 5-star rating, and also be sure to subscribe. Go to the App Store and type in Champion Up to get the Champion Up app so you can have some more powerful, amazing content. And speaking of powerful and amazing content, I have someone on the show today, and she talks about bouncing back in life, bouncing back of your self-esteem. And I need to take some notes on this because I can use that help, here and there. Teresa L. Holmes is the executive director of the Full Steam Ahead Life and Career Coaching, the Bounce Back DNA and Igniting Passions Globally movements. As a noted executive coach, transformational speaker, leadership consultant, and master storyteller, Teresa engages children, teens, and adults in meaningful conversations and activities about issues such as self-esteem, conflict resolution, personal growth, and professional development. Teresa, welcome to the show today.
Hi, Adrian. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here on the show today. And I just knew that you are an individual that's creating such major impact out here in the world and helping people to literally see themselves differently, bouncing back in life, giving them full steam to move ahead and take charge. And that's why you're on this show. And as we move forward, Teresa, can you tell our audience here a little bit more about what it is that you do?
Okay. As you heard, Adrian, I have quite an extensive background, and what I was looking for in coaching and some of the other things that I did, I was looking for a way to pull it all together, looking for a way that I could help other people with the things that I have done in my past. And what I found as I was coaching and doing some other things is that storytelling was a way to help build self-confidence and self-esteem. Storytelling was a way to get people to understand who you are authentically. And storytelling is a way to help others bounce back from the things that they're going through. So I tied it all together and I decided that I would become a master storyteller and a storytelling coach so that I could help everyone do this.
Okay, that's something that I find is very powerful. I mean, a master storyteller and helping people to, really begin to tell their story, because I believe that we're all living stories here in our life and we live different stories, but a lot of us are living stories of the past. So what you're teaching individuals across the world, that's young adults, that's teens, that's going to be adults themselves, that storytelling is a way of us healing ourselves and building our self-esteem?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the one thing uh, that I tell everybody is that whether or not you believe that your story has purpose and whether or not you believe that your story has power. And the
Hmm.
self-esteem and the self-confidence things comes when, we are all apt, and we all do it, but some more than others, to compare ourselves to others and try to
Hmm.
measure ourselves to others. And here's the thing about storytelling is that there's no other story like yours. There's nothing to which you can measure. There's
Right.
nothing to which you can compare. Your story is authentic. It's yours. You own it, and you only can tell it the way that you tell it.
You can only tell it the way that you tell it. And I love that. And so, speaking of stories, you know, what inspired you to want to do this kind of work?
Well, I truly cannot take credit for saying that, it was my passion to become a master storyteller or a storytelling coach, because it was not.
Hmm.
Now, the coaching and mentoring part of that, yes, that was one of my goals. After a while, it was to storytell, was to coach and mentor. So I absolutely started doing that. But what I found is that not only as I was coaching and mentoring, is that I found myself always telling my story. I found myself giving them, my mentors, my mentees, and my clients a piece of me, to show them what I have overcome, to show that from what I have bounced back. And then finally it clicked. It's like, okay, we're on to something here, because storytelling is for everyone. So, that is the way that I could serve all of my clients, all my mentees, is to build confidence through them, to have them build confidence through telling their story and using it to serve others.
What words, actually, I want to ask you another question here. What action steps, Teresa, can you provide to our audience that can help them to take that initial step into telling their own stories, building their self esteem?
First and foremost, you have to become unconcerned and unbothered about what people think about you. A lot of people don't tell their story because they're afraid of being judged. They have a fear of being judged, and so they hold back. They don't put their self out there. They're afraid to put their authentic self out there because of the fear of judgment. And so that would be the first thing I would say. First and foremost is don't worry about who is going to judge you. And once you get past that step, Adrian, I'm not
Hmm.
saying that it's easy, but it becomes easier, because we all have a lot of things that we hold within that we don't want other people to know. And here's the other thing that I tell my clients and my mentees is that, all of our lives are about the good and the bad. Okay. And no one is really interested in
Hmm.
you telling everything or saying everything about you that's all good, because they know that's not authentic. Okay.
Right.
There's no one out here that's all good. So don't be concerned about people knowing the bad, or we say bad, but it's really normal. It's life. Don't be concerned about just putting the good stuff out there. You have to be authentic and put the good in the bad. That's what draws people to you. People are attracted to what you've overcome, the obstacles that you have been through, the challenges that you've been through, the things you've bounced back from, because that's what they can relate to.
I love what you said, that people are attracted to the challenges that you have overcome. And that's so important for us to know, because many would think that, should I even talk about my challenges? Would that be like complaining? Would that be
Mm-hmm.
like telling people my sob story? And reality is that it's not the case. That's your strength. If you've overcome it, then why not embrace it and turn that personal pain into personal power, so that we
Absolutely.
can show the world what happens when one decides to move from something and go beyond and grow through it. I love what you're doing with people out here in the world, Teresa, and that's why you are a courageous creator. Uh, what do you wish you would have known first when you started out your business of doing this? Or is there anything that you would have done differently, when you first started doing this?
Well, I wish I had started grabbing people by the hand a lot sooner, but my focus was on, telling
Hmm.
my story. And I can say that, I was one of the ones that would pick and choose what I would share. I was one of the ones when initially it's like, okay, do I really want to share this? Do I want to draw this person into my story? And here's the thing about the other people, that it's your story. They're a part of it.
Yes.
So what you share is up to you. It's your story. So don't hold back because of that. There are certain ways that you can do it. I mean, if you feel like you don't want to name names, you don't have to name names, but to not tell your story because you're concerned about what someone else will think, even the people who are part of your story will think, that should not hold you back at all.
And I'm glad you said that, because I know when I first started out, especially in the speaking business about 4 years ago, and Teresa, you know me from this too. I was afraid to tell my story about what I
Mm-hmm.
had went through. I had so
Mm-hmm.
many people telling me, "Oh, you're still talking about that," and people will say that, you're still going
Mm-hmm.
off that story. I thought you was over it. And here's the funny thing about this: you are over it because you're
Right.
able to talk about it.
Right.
When we repress our feelings, we put them deep inside and ignore them. You're not over it, ladies and gentlemen. You're ignoring it, and it comes up somewhere else. And you put an expectation on somebody else because you haven't dealt with your own story. And this is what Teresa is talking about, building that trust with yourself to embrace your story. And I want to talk to Teresa about self esteem and self confidence, because I
Yes.
find that people think they're the same, and they do merge, but one can't start without the other, really. And so, if we look at self esteem, what do you see? Because you know all about self esteem. What is your take on self esteem for our audience today?
Look, I lived that life of unhealthy self-esteem, and the thing is, I didn't even have a clue. I didn't know what self-esteem was. It wasn't something when I was growing up that anyone ever talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that was taught in school. It wasn't something, I didn't even know what a life coach was, much less a self-esteem coach. So I had no clue that I had unhealthy self-esteem. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. I had self-confidence. I believed in my abilities to do things. I believed in my ability, and that's what helped me climb the corporate ladder, rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't value myself. And so I didn't have value
Yes.
in myself. And so I was always looking for someone to validate me, to tell me I was worthy. So I became a people pleaser. I lived my
Mm-hmm.
life trying to please people because I didn't value what I had. And here's the thing that I didn't know, what I didn't realize is that everything that I needed to prevail was already within me. Everything that I needed. Anything outside of me was to complement that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything out there was to help me when I needed help. But the
Mm-hmm.
value that I was seeking outside of myself was what was already within.
See, this is why you're such an expert on what you do and why you're helping thousands of people across the world. You mentioned the word valuing yourself, and you talked about your career and how you were, capable of doing those things. And this is what we mean by self-confidence. You can do certain things, have certain skills, but the self-esteem comes from having value in yourself. And that impacts how you can do things further. And I think this is where
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people get it confused. They think, oh, I have self confidence. I know I can do that. But do you have self esteem? And this is where many people are
Right.
losing to themselves because they think, well, why do I feel so down? I'm doing my job great. I'm doing all these things wonderful. And we see this in, out here in the real world with celebrities, right? We see it with all these people, athletes, anyone who's of high status. We think, why are they not happy? They have everything. Well, it's because it goes much more
Right.
deeper than that, and that's with self-esteem. I'm loving this conversation, Teresa. I'm just getting excited right now as we speak.
I am
So,
too.
where were you when this idea of building, the bounce back DNA movement, the igniting passions globally movement? Where were you in time when this idea came to you that this is what you were going to do?
I was actually the director of human resources and became the director as well for employee and personal development. So I was building these programs. I was doing upward mobility programs. I was building mentoring programs and coaching programs. And we had all these things that were going on to help employees within the federal agency that I worked. And I did that for quite some time. And then I thought to myself, when you work for the federal government, there's so many stipulations, there's conflict of interest, there's all type of things, there's rules that keep you bound. And so when I started to venture out into the community, I had to be very careful of who I dealt with, of who I coached. There was a lot of stipulations, things that were holding me back. And I just remember sitting at my desk one day and thinking, okay, what am I doing? I need to get out of here. I need to get out from behind these four walls. But here's the thing, Adrian, I thought it, but I never did it because I was comfortable. I was in my comfort zone. I had the support I needed. I had a director that gave me my own budget and I could do anything that I wanted to do. So I was back and forth with the idea. Why would I do that when I'm already making good money? I got people giving me the budget that I need to build. I can do whatever I want to do. Nobody's telling me what to do. Why would I step outside of this and do something else? But here's the thing. I had a director who was also my coach who believed in me. And he walked in one day and he just sat at my desk and he looked at me and he said, I am going to shoot myself in the foot. I know I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, but you are bigger than this now. You are so much bigger than this now, and you need to get, I'm not, I can't tell you how to do it because I don't know how you're supposed to do it. But what I do know is that you are supposed to step outside of these four walls and you're supposed to go out into the world and give your gift of what you're doing here. And that was my sign. I always say now that when I tell my story, that was my sign. That was my sign is that I need to step. Was it scary? Oh my gosh, Adrian, it was so scary because like I said, I was comfortable. I had a check that was coming in automatically. I knew I was going to get a check every 2 weeks. I knew I had a budget. I could spend somebody else's money. I didn't have to worry about spending my own money. I could spend the government's money and build the programs that I had, but I was limited.
Yes.
I was limited. And so I took a faith step. I took a faith step and I stepped out and I haven't turned back and I don't regret it for 1 minute. Not 1 minute.
See, that's why Teresa's doing such amazing things here. She said she stepped out and she hasn't looked back and she has not regretted it. For the people that are listening today, wanting to take the next step in your life, to ignite your self-esteem. That story that Teresa just mentioned to us, of having someone tell her that she was bigger than this, of her being willing to walk away and say, you know what, I don't need that 2-week paycheck anymore. Feels good to have it, but I don't need it. To move into something that really ignited her. This is what leaders do. They live by example. So you're thinking, well, what does this have to do with me right now in my life? Everything, because if Teresa didn't have that self-esteem, that value that she had placed within herself and allowed other people to place that value in, is what you have to do. You have to open up and have mentors, leaders like Teresa who can open that part of you up and help build that self-esteem, because that's what's necessary in our world today. What we find is that it's not how much you know, it's what you're willing to understand about yourself, about other people. This comes from self-esteem. What you're willing to take on, that comes from self-esteem. What mistakes you're willing to make and to learn from comes from self-esteem. So to build your businesses, to build your personal lives, you got to have self-esteem. And you have to start working on it daily. So speaking of daily and self-esteem, I was doing a lot of reading about you because I'm so fascinated with Teresa. She's done so many amazing things. Your team that you have working with you, they provide a safe environment where people can share their bondage and their stories and testimonies, that lead to breakthroughs and holistic healing. For the people out here who may be afraid I'm going to say this because it's okay
Mm-hmm.
to say that word
Mm-hmm.
afraid. That's all right. They may not want to be in a group and to expose their story right then and there. What would you suggest to them if just to say, okay, in order for you to improve this area of your life, and you may not want to be in necessarily in a group, how could they reach out to someone directly? Like, could they just talk with someone one on one? Could they talk with a friend? Or should they be cautious of that? Or who should they just think of reaching out to start the step of beginning to share whatever story they have repressed inside of them?
First and foremost, I would say do your research because,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of people out there who call themselves coaches. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of mentors out there. You have to make sure that you go to someone that has your best interest at heart. You absolutely
Yes,
have to do that. And here's the thing.
best
You can
interest.
have a coaching and client or customer relationship. You can have a mentee mentor relationship. And once you get into it and you find out that it's not working for you, quit it. Stop it. Don't continue in a relationship that you know is not conducive to you. If they're not helping to build value, they're not lifting you up. If you find that the relationship that you're in is tearing you down, even though you thought it was a good one, quit it. You don't have to stay in that type of relationship. So find someone. Be patient with yourself. Find someone that you know is going to help build you up and take you to wherever that it is that you want to go. It can be like our programs we have one-on-one. We have what we
Mm-hmm.
call a power hour. Excuse me. That power hour is a session that you have with us that will let you know whether or not you feel comfortable working with us. If that's all you need, if that one power hour gets you to where you want to go, then that's great. Then you keep going. And here's the thing for a lot of people, and they say there's like only 80%, 87%, I think, of people that have mentors. That should never be. You should always have a mentor and a
Mm-hmm.
coach. And even if you are a coach or a business professional out there, okay, you need to have a coach as well. I don't care if you're coaching, uh, if you have 100 clients that you're coaching. It doesn't matter how many clients that you have. There's always someone that can help get you to the next level, a coach or a mentor. And you need to make sure that you always have a coach and a mentor. Even if you're not a business professional and you want to make it to the next level, you need a coach or you need a mentor. One or the other or both. I have both. I'm a coach, been coaching for a few years now. And I've never not had a coach since I started this journey. I have never not had a
Mm-hmm.
coach. I've never not had
Wow.
a mentor. The same person who came into my office and said, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, but you need to get up. He is still my coach to this day. I knew the value he brought to my life, and I've never let go of his hand, ever. Ne- yeah,
I
never
love
let
that.
go of his hand. Almost every morning at 6 o'clock.
So this is coming from. I love that, and this is coming from someone who teaches that she has a coaching mentor, and I have one too. So that to be said, you need to have someone who's going to help provide you with a roadmap of
Mm-hmm.
how to get that part of you going, self-esteem, to be able to show up out here in the world. And speaking of mentors and coaches, Teresa, how can one get in contact with you and your
Okay, I
organization?
am on all the social media sites, Teresa L. Holmes. I am on Facebook, Teresa L. Holmes, but also have a Facebook page. Actually, I have two Facebook pages. Teresa L. Holmes is my personal page as well. And then we have the Bounce Back DNA movement. I'm on LinkedIn, Teresa L. Holmes. My website is bouncebackdnamovement.com, bouncebackdnamovement.com. And if you prefer to email me, my email address is Teresa L. Holmes at fullsteamahead.com. Now, the STEAM is STEEM for short for self-esteem. So don't confuse it and put STEAM, STEEM ahead.com.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And that's good to know, that way we don't make that mistake. And this is amazing. And for our listeners today, be sure to reach out to Teresa. She's a wonderful, powerful person, and what I call a courageous creator on this show. And I always end with one courageous creator question, Teresa. And this question today for you is, what does happiness mean to you?
Happiness to me is being able to share all of my God-given gifts to the world. That's the thing that makes me happier than anything else, is being able to share my authentic self to the world.
Showing the authentic self to the world, providing those God-given gifts and talents to the world. So the key word here, ladies and gentlemen, is give. What are you giving to the world? Because we think happiness is an end result. It's not. It's an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And Teresa's just explained that to you. What are you in the midst of giving? And to stop asking so much of what you can get from life, but ask, what can I provide? And that starts first with looking into yourself and seeing what value you have. And that's why Teresa says, bounce back into yourself, bounce back into your self-esteem, and to take yourself to another level. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show today, everyone. And I encourage you all to be that courageous creator in your life. This is the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up Podcast with myself, Adrian Starks, and thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, don't forget to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on the powerful life-changing content on future episodes. Also, make sure to go to championup.net for even more life-changing content. Until then, I encourage you to be the courageous creator in your life.